Hello, everybody. Welcome to Expose Healthcare, where we basically find the root causes of problems in the healthcare system and expose the truth. I'm your host, Dr. Stephen Mallon, and today's video is going to be a little bit cheesy. Um, some would call me a mama's boy after this, but I don't care. Um, Title of the article is "Inspiration for Exposed Healthcare." My mom. So let's just go into it. Where you end up is very much determined right from the beginning. From Bill Gates to Mark Zuckerberg to Jeff Bezos, they all started off with pretty big silver spoons in their mouths. I don't know if you've gone down that rabbit hole, but it's true. They all came from pretty wealthy families and were in right place, right time. While I was not born with a silver spoon financially, I was born to a mom and dad that instilled in me some pretty strong fighting genes. While my dad has a mean uppercut, I will focus this article on my mom, who has quite a history fighting many things, including antisemitism, radiation, you heard that right, and the American dream. My mom grew up in the Soviet Union in a small town, which is currently in Ukraine. Mentioning antisemitism in Ukraine in the same sentence these days is quite controversial, but it is a wide known fact that Ukraine has a pretty dark history on this topic, as do most countries. During my mom's lifetime, it certainly was not at Holocaust level, thankfully. However, she still experienced antisemitism in regards to upward mobility. Despite excelling scholastically, there are many barriers to her ability to enroll in the best university due to her religion. Many people don't know this, but in the Soviet Union, if you were Jewish, it actually said it in your official documents under your nationality. To combat this anti-Semitism, she had to apply to all the universities that accepted digital applications because those were less likely to be filtered out. So, yeah, imagine you're applying to Harvard, Princeton, and then like your local state schools and community colleges, and the ones that didn't have digital applications, they would look at you to see you're Jewish and kick you out. That's what was going on in the Soviet Union, but in particular in Ukraine. Fortunately, she went on to earn the equivalent of a bachelor's and a master's degree in economics in Kiev, where she met my dad. With this in mind, emigrating to the US wasn't such a hard decision, but before I get to that part of the story, let me rewind back to Chernobyl. Thanks to the HBO show in 2019, many people are aware of the detailed horror of Chernobyl, including the horrific response by the Soviet Union. At this time, my mom was in college in Ukraine and she witnessed the nonsensical mess unraveling in front of her eyes. She saw her classmates being sent hours away to clean up trains contaminated by radiation with very little to no protection. She also witnessed the government telling people to drink vodka as a prevention and treatment for radiation poisoning. Conveniently, my mom's mom, or grandma, was a physics, chemistry, and math teacher who warned her about the dangers of nuclear explosions and nuclear radiation in general, including the health risks and how many years it will take to decontaminate. As an editor of a university newspaper, she decided to be brave and go against her government, which is very different from doing that in the US. Going against the Soviet Union for many people meant being sent away to prison in Siberia or the gulags. Going against the Soviet Union meant getting kidnapped in the middle of the night and getting shot. My mom tried exposing the danger to her fellow classmates in an open college meeting, but was threatened with discharge and other disciplinary actions. She immediately went to the library with the editorial team and decided to publish the facts. The published radiation level in her class. She published the radiation levels in her classmates' hair consistently reached the maximum level of measuring devices. So you don't really know what the radiation level is. Their article in the newspaper caused the termination of the program and most likely prevented thousands of unnecessary cancers and deaths. Now let's forward back to coming to the US. Her experience coming to the US will be very familiar for immigrants that came to the US in search of the American dream. My parents came to the US as religious refugees in search of equal opportunity. The US gave them much better odds than the Soviet Union, so they took the plunge. They came to the US with no more than the equivalent of a few $100s, and now they are living the American dream. My dad has a stable computer science career. My mom has a successful digital marketing company. This wasn't easy, however, at least they had an equal chance from the beginning. Knowing what my mom went through to get to where she is now helped me in the past year think twice about my career and where I want to take it. My career in pharmacy has been full of ups and downs, but during the past few years of COVID, it really went up and down. My wife and I at some point were running a pharmacy together and reached not only peak financial success, but more importantly, peak fulfillment. During the day, we would work together to help people get PPE and prescriptions, and in the evenings and weekends, we would focus our energy on our home, family, and friends. Fast forward to about a year ago, and now it's 2 years ago. We have a beautiful daughter, and my wife is back to working in her specialty of finance. However, I'm drowning the pharmacy, ironically doing what I was best at, vaccinations. This was a year ago. My entire career as a pharmacist, I always excelled at not only giving vaccines, but inspiring the pharmacists around me as well. I told them over and over again this is a unique opportunity for pharmacists to get beyond filling prescriptions, which we complain about so much. But COVID vaccinations was something else. Every week, it was something new. Billing, documentation was a mess, training was nonstop, storage requirements were more complicated than astrophysics, and boy, did my mental health go down the drain. This is when I took a step back and questioned my entire career, including every prescription I verified and every conversation I had with patients. I remember thinking about my mom and how she had the courage to uncover a deep conspiracy in the aftermath of the largest nuclear catastrophe of all time. That is when I realized I'm done being a cog in our horrible healthcare system. I'm done being a spokesperson for pharmaceutical companies. I'm done being a pill pusher. I'm done being addicted to prescription drugs via my patients. I want to do what my mom did and expose the healthcare system for what it is, a fraud. I've written before about the horror of the US healthcare system, including a piece about pharmacy benefit managers. In reality, it is similar to the problems in the aftermath of Chernobyl. You can't blame one person, one company, one branch of government in the US for our healthcare system, which incentivizes patients and doctors to often do the opposite of what improves health. The problem is at the core of our society. Is healthcare a right or not? That is the core problem. Until we resolve this question, nothing will solve this crisis. Patients and providers have reached their peak dissatisfaction with the status quo, and most likely it is due to COVID making us think twice about everything. Many of us have lost loved ones and lost hours of priceless moments with each other during the pandemic. Until the U.S. is determined that the healthcare is a right, I will not stop fighting, just like my mom did, and continues to do so. I will not stop exposing the healthcare system. Um, yeah, so mama's boy and proud, but definitely this is kind of, I believe, one of the things that drives me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that drives a person, but this is a story that I heard from my mom from like a very young age. So it probably inspired me to kind of go against the grain and question things, and not only question things, but be inspired to expose it and fight for the truth, and especially when the truth is hurting and killing people. Would love to hear your comments as usual, whether positive or negative, especially negative. Follow YouTube channel. You could also follow these newsletters on LinkedIn under Expose Healthcare. So appreciate your time. Thank you so much.